Hello and welcome. Chris Principe, publisher Financial IT, coming to you from Money 2020. Truly one of the magnificent shows that we get here in Europe, where everyone who needs to be seen is seen. And we're here in one of the great cities, Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Very hospitable city, really treating us all very nicely, and we're having a great time. And part of that great time is my good friend here, David Tomkins. David, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for spending a little time with Financial IT. What we'd really like to hear about is tell us about the company and give us a little overview of what you guys are up to.
So Appian have been in existence for 25 years now, and we bring together three key tenets in our platform of process, data, and AI. And AI is a massive subject we're hearing here. And really, I'm here to hear a lot about the way that technology is being used in the financial services space around that, but also to learn and to influence that as well, because we have some pretty strong ideas about process and AI and data and how that all can get used to deliver better value for financial services organizations.
So let me ask you, what is it that your customers are really looking for, and what are you fulfilling for them?
Okay, so we manage processes that run through any organization. We are the process company. Appian is the process company. And we've been doing that for 25 years now. And we processes are things that banks do every day. Internal things, external things, customer journeys. So we find ourselves at the center of anything from a loan application for a large corporate, through to a KYC process, through to an internal audit process, or maybe some GRC process. So anywhere there's a journey to be managed, where data is needed, data is usually received and put into certain places, and increasingly where AI can be applied on that process as part of that process, using the data that's around it.
Well, I tell you, having been a banker and been through so many of those processes, it sounds like there's no place in the bank that you guys can't touch.
Absolutely. And we find ourselves, interestingly, at some banks, we are seen as the audit guys and the compliance guys, and the guys who make the bank tick in the back end, GRC, all of those key operational processes in the back end. And for some organizations, we're delivering customer journeys, managing every loan they deliver, managing a massive amount of customer journeys end to end, and managing the way they interact directly with their customers. And as you say, everything else in between. Interestingly, we work outside of financial services too. And with the US government, we help them procure military hardware, and we help them manage their citizen flows. So we do any process across the world in any industry. But I'm really excited about what we can do in financial services with that combination of process, data, and AI.
Well, me too. I mean, financial services is the bread and butter for me, but it's really interesting to hear where else you guys are, because when you start thinking about it, everything has a process, right? And internally in the bank, banks are full of processes, and so many and so difficult and challenging. After 25 years, you guys have likely seen almost all of it, but what are some of the new challenges you're seeing from your banking customers?
Well, increasingly, we're seeing organizations deploying AI as part of their process. And that's a key point, right? AI is a massive trend here, as on the center of every conversation. But that hype cycle is moving through the gears now, and people are really starting to achieve things and learn lessons with AI. And the big lesson we see our customers learning is that AI is best deployed at the center of a process rather than outside of that process. And we see it as a worker in the process and helping the process execute, rather than something on the desktop, ChatGPT style, that just helps helps someone in operations better deliver their customer service. So our journey with our customers is really progressing and developing into that space. And we're seeing AI being deployed at the center of everything, but particularly around things like corporate loan management, GRC processes, and anywhere where a customer journey needs to be enhanced, tightened and shortened so they can deliver faster, better, and more efficiently and consistently for their customers.
Boy, that's progressive stuff. And right, every event that I go to, AI is the center of the conversation. One of the things that I've noticed is that unlike a lot of other new technologies, AI tends to start inside. And you guys being the process company, there's nothing more inside the bank than the process. And to hear you speak about how AI should be at the center of that, can you elaborate a little bit more for me?
Yeah, I think we see in when a new technology emerges, and I'd use RPA as an example that emerged about a decade ago, hugely popular, but got deployed therefore wherever it could be seen was an opportunity to use it. And it very quickly became islands of legacy. The way banks were using it was inconsistent, and it meant that value wasn't consistent, but it also meant that legacy was being created by the bank in real time. Now, there's a danger AI does that if it is used as something that can dotted solve problems in areas of the bank and used like a sticking plaster. It is a truly revolutionary technology. And so, especially where you have a customer journey established and a technology like Appian that manages that customer journey, the natural and most effective way to deploy it, deliver the most value, is to embed that AI within your process, within your Appian technology. The great news in that context is that triumvirate of data, process, and AI, data and process together give you everything you need to advise AI and allow AI to be effective. So those three together in that triangle give a fantastic way of delivering great operational value, great customer value for banks and institutions like banks.
So interesting for me, and if I'm understanding what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of new technology comes out and it's really about how we can deploy this to the customer right away. And here it sounds more like, how can we help ourselves internally first before we turn it on to the customer? Is that accurate from the bank's point of view?
I think that's an interesting point because it does touch on where banks are. And I think it's with any technology, there's a sensitivity with deploying it out to customers because the fear that customers will feel like they're being automated, and customers like to be, they don't want to be automated, or a new generation of customer doesn't mind being automated as long as that automation is truly relevant. So we're finding banks typically using AI in their operations initially, almost as a test bed, but as soon as they can be confident with it, they want to use it to enrich the customer journey because it can really make a step change. It is a massive brain in your organization that, if trained correctly, can deliver a consistent and relevant experience that is arguably better than your best operator. Or rather, more typically, it can enable your best operator to deliver the best possible journey for customers. So I think to answer your question in one sentence, I think organizations always want to deliver best value for their customers. But I think we're seeing AI, by the nature of way banks manage risk with new technology, being used internally, but definitely more and more being used in the customer journey and in customer facing roles. And we at Appian are seeing that journey. We're seeing customers doing both with great successes and different types of value, but ultimately real top line and bottom line value for their customers and for the banks.
Well, I get the picture now, and for Appian, being the process company, adding the AI to the bank's processes, along with your work in the customer journey, it just seems like such a great match.
Absolutely. One could say we were lucky that AI came along because it is a great match with the technology that we've been running with now for the last 25 years. Right. I personally have been in the workflow industry and the process industry all that time. And the goal has always been to automate effectively. The goal has always been to make operations more efficient, to deliver a better and faster customer experience, and deliver more consistency across that journey. What we're seeing in AI is a technology that really drives automation, but drives it in the sense that it doesn't just collapse the process and do everything that people would usually do for them. More typically, it allows knowledge workers, high value workers, people on the front line in customer service, people in compliance. It enables them to do their job more efficiently, more consistently, more effectively. And that means the bank internally has lower risk and therefore lower cost to serve, but externally happier customers who are being served better by a worker in the organization that is in AI that is enabling the organization and the people within it to better serve the customers.
Well, so, you went over a great range of words: efficiency, being able to do things effectively. All these words. Does this turn into both a time saver and a cost saver for the banks?
Yeah, and I think again, there's the three key headlines around process generally, but with AI added that gets supercharged, and that is cost, time, and risk. You're managing cost by making sure that someone who is running compliance process, instead of doing it in 7 hours, is doing it in 7 minutes because the information is being fed to them and documents are being automatically read and consumed, and the information is given to them as part of that AI processing within the process. That's the cost element. Time, obviously, and revenue and value. The faster you can deliver new products to customers, the faster you can drive your customers through KYC and onboarding, the faster you can get loans written and out in the market, shorter the time to trade. This all adds to the top line. And finally, risk. Organizations, banks, risk can kill you. Cost is one thing, revenue is another, but risk is the one that shuts you down. Taking risk out of the organization by more effective use of structured, audited processes, embellished by access to data and the AI that can use that data and that process. That holy trinity allows you to effectively make sure that the banks are ticking and growing in all three columns.
Well, boy, I like how you highlighted that triangle with those 3 points. And, just in my own banking experience, banks are really not about the money in the vault. They're about risk management. They're risk organizations. This is the key thing. And you guys are addressing that with processes that are AI supercharged.
Absolutely. I like that term.
Yeah.
AI supercharged is a great term, and that's exactly it. And what we're finding therefore is customers, we have customers who are like to be at the bleeding edge. We have customers who are more conservative, the bigger banks, more typically. And so we're finding customers at various stages on their AI journey. We have customers who are kind of kicking the tires of AI, particularly in the customer focus sense. And we have customers who are really driving the front end of what AI can do, both internally and externally. So yeah, that ability to supercharge your organization, AI is ready for you when you're ready for it. And typically you can do it faster and more effectively within a process, which is why as the process company Appian are well placed. But equally, it means you can take it at your own speed and make sure that you're following a journey, the deployment of AI within that structure.
So it sounds like, you're able to personalize for each bank based on their risk temperament and their wanting to reach customers and on all of this. And when we look at a lot of those things and we talk about, again, supercharging, right? There's nothing more supercharged for you and me today than being here at Money 2020.
Absolutely.
So what brings you to Money 2020?
Well, I'm here to hear the way the conversation is developing. We see it developing with our customers. I think the maturity curve of AI, and it's been central of the conversation for a couple of years now, but we're seeing the conversation mature. We're seeing organizations recognize that we all should be using it, but now how do we effectively use it? So we're not so much in the what one can do now with AI. All the organizations I see here, both the banks and the startups and the software organizations, are all trying to work out what we do and how we do it, rather than the rush to the gate to make sure they've got that AI funded project rolled out.
Right.
Because ultimately trends will drive forward. AI is clearly a trend and it's clearly going through that hype cycle. But I think we're starting to see here organizations are really starting to deliver genuine, repeatable value. And we're seeing banks who are here, large banks who are here, really curious about what's possible for them.
Well, I tell you, that's really interesting to me. And I know that banks in general are conservative. They're not typically at the bleeding edge. But talk to us a little bit when we talk about bleeding edge. It also makes me think of what's tomorrow, what's going to happen coming up. Maybe you can give us a little insight at what you see the future will bring us.
Yeah, certainly. I think we're definitely part of that journey with banks, especially where an existing customer who are managing their processing data with us already. So we're seeing organizations drive more and more use cases with Appian. And what we're starting to do is invest as well, building out capability, not just the platform, but we're actually building out end-to-end capabilities that the bank get a fast start with. So we're working on GRC capabilities, payment investigations and payment processing, and the ability for banks not to start with a blank sheet of how they build up their processes and their execution of those processes, but we're bringing the process to bear so they have a fast start. So increasingly, as banks develop consistency in the way they're using our technology, we're coming to the party as well and investing in the capabilities end to end. And I think organizations generally are trying to make sure they balance that hype cycle, that AI opportunity with, as we discussed, the level of risk that banks have to carry, because that's at the center of their business. So as always, there's half the bank want to run, and there's half the bank saying slow down but deliver the value. So I think where we're seeing banks going is pretty much in the direction they've always been going, always looking to manage risk, take out cost, drive new revenue, but with more tools in their armory than they've had before.
Well, I'll tell you, the future sounds really exciting. I'm really glad that you spent a little time with us, David. I wish the best for you and Appian, success going forward. And thank you for spending some time with Financial IT.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Great. Chris Principe, Financial IT.